made a mistake, and this is probably going to destroy my marriage. But how do I tell him that our 3 kids are not biologically his? But the guilt is eating me alive. Honestly, I'm scared he's gonna divorce me. And then what? Then I lose everything. Like, how am I gonna lose all the stability that I have?
This is a prime example right here of why men get DNA tests in the first place. And it seems like more men are waking up to that fact that they should get a test. So today I've compiled the best moments for you guys.
I am not for mandatory paternity testing, but I am against men being forced to father children that aren't theirs. And the following story is wild. Gypsy Rose Blanchard married her husband Ryan while incarcerated. In December, Gypsy was released. In March, they split, and in April, she filed for divorce. In May, she confirmed that she was back together with her ex-fiance, Ken. Then last week, Gypsy announced that she was 11 weeks pregnant with Ken's child. This would put the date of conception around April, the same month that she filed for divorce. And this is where it gets interesting. According to People magazine, as stated in Louisiana law, if the mother is married to someone other than the biological father when the child was conceived, or has been divorced for less than 300 days at the time of birth, the husband/ex-husband shall be the presumed father, unless paternity is established for the biological father. With this law in place, the only way that Ken's name will go on the birth certificate is if Ryan signs an affidavit that Ken is the father. If he doesn't, and Ken wants his name on the birth certificate, he will have to file a motion with the courts, and the courts will make all 3 of them take a DNA test to determine the father. This is called marital presumption of paternity, and it's not just in Louisiana. I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Honestly, this is just a heartbreaking story, and I do believe that if you had mandatory DNA testing at birth, then this would have never really happened. This whole situation wouldn't have had to play out in court.
Don't swipe now. Come back here. Hey, ladies, did you know that paternity fraud is now a crime? Yeah, let's talk about House Bill 2689, because they locking y'all up.
I'm going to make my money one way or another. Even if that means locking you up, I'll make my money off of you being locked up. Please peep the game.
Oh yeah, and this hookup culture? Oh yeah, that's a wrap, because they're making it so you can no longer get child support off of one-night stands. If that man wasn't in your life, let me tell you.
Not only are they making it mandatory for the man to get a DNA test before he signs a birth certificate, but now they're like, look, you're not going to be able to get any money off of this man if he was not actively, long-term, a part of your everyday life.
Oh yeah, it's true too. And if I could add on to this bill, you know what? If all these fathers are paying these high amounts in child support, why not give the child to the father? Yeah, that's coming too. I mean, what you think?
I'm going to be honest enough to admit that a man would probably be more capable of raising the child on his own.
I mean, that woman's reaction and whole thought process on this whole thing is disgusting, and the fact that paternity fraud wasn't a crime to begin with is insane. Because at the end of the day, this does ruin lives.
So me and our daughter, our 5-year-old daughter, went and got tested today. Okay. And it said that I am...
Wait, why you take my baby to go get tested anyway? What do you mean, what kind of test, first of all?
I went
and
got a DNA discovery thing so you find out where you come from, and kind of find out the child doesn't come from me. Yeah. 5 years, I can't even go crazy right now because the kids are asleep. So I'm trying to stay calm.
You raised her for
We have 3 children, and the last one is not mine. How's this possible? Well, we know how it's possible, but guess what? Because the kids are asleep, I'm not going to turn violent. I'm not going to call you a bunch of names or cause a big scene. But you and that 5-year-old, who I do love, is going to have to leave the place.
No, because I pay bills here too, and her brothers and sisters is here. You ain't never about to separate my kid.
You are on none of the bills with your name. Technically,
yeah, okay, whatever.
You don't have your ID that says you live here. 1. 2, you see what that says.
Why would you do that?
What you mean, why would I do that? Are you serious right now? Now I don't give a shit. What do you mean, why would I do that?
That's still your child.
No, that's your child.
You raised her for
No,
5 years.
that's your child. And yes, I do love her. I'm not denying that.
I mean, you're not.
But I can't continue to raise a child that's not mine. I'm not doing that. What kind of...
Buckle up, guys. Today we're diving into a story that exposes one of the biggest fears many families never see coming. What starts as a shocking confession quickly unfolds into a deeper discussion about paternity, legal responsibility, and emotional consequences of hidden truths. As more stories surface, the debate over DNA testing becomes impossible to ignore, raising difficult questions about trust, accountability, and justice. This opening sets the stage for everything that's about to unfold. And believe me, The revelations only become more intense from here.
Father, would I be to my other 2 children to show them the kind of weak man raises a kid that's not his?
What kind of man raises a child for 5 years and then try to kick her and her mother out?
No.
It's absolutely heartbreaking that she has no remorse, no sympathy, and she doesn't even seem to care, and she would rather argue than admit her wrongs.
My husband got a paternity test on our 5-year-old daughter and it came back negative, but I never cheated. And now he wants a divorce. And after a lot of silence and anxiety, I finally had a conversation with him. We discussed a lot of things, but I told him I would literally never cheat on him. I told him a list of tests that I really wanted to take to prove it to him that it was a faulty test. He told me he didn't want to hear it right now, so we're gonna talk a little bit more about it tomorrow. Although this is really hard on him, he did say that he still loves our daughter and that he won't try to kick me out of the house or our room again. I have no idea what to do. I feel like I'm being punished for something that I literally didn't do because I did not do it, and I would never cheat on him. At the end of our long conversation, I did ask him to hug me just to feel a little bit of reassurance, and he did, thankfully, and that made me feel a lot better. But I'm still just so scared that I'm not going to be able to convince him that it was a faulty test. I don't know how I can be a good wife and support his needs while also proving my innocence.
So I just did some research, and the chances of an incorrect result on a test like this is actually less than 0.01%. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible, but the husband probably should redo the test if she really thinks that she is innocent.
Those of you who are in Tennessee, guess what? House Bill 2689 is getting ready to pass. That is requiring paternity tests before you sign the birth certificate. Because, you know, when people do paternity tests 1/3 of the time, they end up not being the father, and if they start testing everybody, that number...
What? Well, I guess that's probably selection bias, to be fair.
Only go up, not down. They're actually starting to jail time the ladies for maternity fraud.
This needs to go nationwide, but at least it's the first step.
True.
Progress, not perfection.
Sure.
But in the meantime, because
It's weird to me that they don't just do this as a default.
be surprised just how many of those kids belong to another man.
The problem with child support is that it's calculated based on how much money both of the parents make.
Yeah.
The more money dad makes, the more he pays, but the more money that mom makes, the less she gets. This absolutely incentivizes people not to be successful, which is not making the world a better place, it's making the world a worse place.
That is stupid, by the way. Yeah. I'm okay with a man having to pay. Like, I'm a child support supporter. Whenever you have a kid, like, you shouldn't look at what's best for the kid, or sorry, what's best for the mom or what's best for the dad. You should look at what's best for the kid. And I think that a society that doesn't put the best interests of its children and young people first is a society that's doomed to die. Everybody knows, like, custody court is, like, rigged in favor of women.
In my eyes, honestly, if a woman is against this or at birth she is demanding that there not be a DNA test, then there is probably something that she is hiding or trying to conceal, obviously.
That is absolutely incorrect, okay? Child support is for the parent, not for the child. I use my child support money to go to the spa, let's say. Why? Because if I'm not stress-free, if I'm not relaxed, there's no way that I can take care of my children properly. I've always said that child support is a reimbursement for the parent. Therefore, the parent could use it as they choose. I bought my brand new car with my child support money. I also use my child support to fund my vacations without my children. Why? Because I deserve it.
All right, guys, now the real emotional impact begins. A routine DNA test suddenly turns an ordinary family into center of a heartbreaking confrontation, forcing a father to question everything he believed for years. As emotions explode, the conversation expands into the larger debate surrounding paternity fraud, mandatory testing, and child support laws. Every reaction in this section reveals just how devastating a single truth can be when it's hidden for years, making this one of the most unforgettable moments in the entire video.
My kids have everything and anything that they want, and more. So what about me? That's exactly when child support comes into play. So just because I use the money on myself doesn't mean I'm selfish at all. To be the best version of myself, I gotta make sure that I'm taken care of. And if that means spending every single nickel, dime from that child support, then so be it. And it's nobody's business.
I mean, I shouldn't have to say it, but this is obviously a horrible way of thinking, and that child support should be meant for your child. And unfortunately, this does happen every single day.
I got some bad news.
What?
So I decided to get a DNA test on Mika. And the DNA test came back, and I just found out I'm not Mika dad.
Come on, that's lying.
I'm so serious. How could you do something like this to me?
Do what?
I've been in this baby life since she was born. I signed her birth certificate.
That's no baby. You can't be speaking this right now.
And you laughing, and you think it's funny?
What?
You had me thinking that she was my baby for 7 years?
God, you are the mother.
And I feel like you're making jokes about this whole situation when this is serious. I'm so hurt right now. We spent so much time together. You so wrong for misleading me like that for all these years.
He broke two major rules of the Bad Boy membership. One, not taking a paternity test and understanding that a paternity test is mandatory for all children in all situations. Two, signing a birth certificate without taking a paternity test.
If he did take a paternity test for probably honestly less than $100 at birth, then he would have avoided this whole situation.
You've been her daddy for 6 years. The only daddy that she knows.
The last 6 years, hold on, sis. The last 6 years, you had me thinking that this baby was mine.
I told you I was sorry. I apologized about that. Mistakes happen. But this don't have nothing to do with her life.
Hey,
I'm not her cousin party.
I'm sorry, baby. Y'all need to leave.
No.
Y'all need to leave. Y'all need to leave, bro. Talk to your sister.
You're not gonna talk to my sister like that, bro.
Leave, bro.
Like I said, bro.
Leave, bro.
You're not gonna talk to my sister
I ain't talking to you.
But you
Look here. It's between y'all two. But don't put
y'all need to leave. Y'all need to leave.
Like I said,
bro, y'all need to leave.
We are not going nowhere. Me and Dog already talked about this.
I think the most heartbreaking thing about this whole situation is that these children and these kids had to basically deal with this and hear their parents arguing about this and basically finding out that their father who raised them is not their father.
Made a mistake, and this is probably going to destroy my marriage, but how do I tell him that our 3 kids are not biologically his? For context, my husband is an amazing man. He bought me this beautiful house, these wonderful rings, nice cars. He treats me and our kids amazingly. He's never cheated on me. He's just always been a good man. But the guilt is eating me alive.
Buckle up, guys, because this chapter proves that one DNA result can completely change multiple lives. Another emotional confrontation unfolds as years of trust are challenged in just a few moments, while a separate confession reveals the unbearable weight of living with a devastating secret. The discussion then shifts toward whether mandatory DNA testing is really the solution, or whether it creates even bigger problems. Every perspective adds another layer to an already complicated issue, making this section impossible to look away from.
Honestly, on days like this, it really gets the best of me, and I don't know how to resolve this problem. I mean, I'm scared he's gonna divorce me, and then what? Then I lose everything. Like, how am I gonna lose all this stability that I have? So I'm just really looking to see if anybody else has been in this situation and can give me some advice. I already know some of you are gonna judge me and assume the worst of me, but I'm really a good person. I'm not gonna let this mistake ×3 define me, because in my heart, I love my husband. How do I tell my husband that the 3 kids that I have...
There's no good way to tell someone bad news.
I just can't believe this woman told her story on TikTok and asking for advice before she actually just, talked to her husband like a normal person.
I've said before that a law making mandatory DNA testing at birth is a terrible idea, but men decided they wanted to argue with me, so I'm going to readdress the issue. Mandatory paternity testing at birth is a terrible idea. If you choose to get a paternity test at birth, that's on you. I truly do not care. Mandatory is the key word here. Mandatory DNA testing would mean that every child born into the United States, plus both of their parents, would need to be tested at birth. We're not seeing why that's a bad idea? One, that's going to lead to the government storing our genetic data. They're not going to take every single American's genetic info and just throw it away. Two, imagine a man cheats on his wife, God forbid, with a teenager. What do you think he's going to do to her when he realizes she's pregnant and he has to do a DNA test? But we don't care about endangering women or children's lives, right? I know. And 3, who's going to pay for it? Because the government sure isn't, and I'm not paying to get a DNA test because you too scared to ask your baby mama for a paternity test. The real solution here that a lot of people don't want to hear is to stop having sex with people you don't want to create a family with.
So I do agree with her last point of just not doing it in general if you're not trying to have a family with them. But at the end of the day, it is a fairly cheap test, and it would probably become cheaper if it was mandatory for all births.
I just got the paperwork. This baby is not mine. That's exactly what I just said. This baby is not mine, Michelle. Have you talked to her? Have you seen her? Have you... I'm sorry, I ain't trying to raise my voice. I apologize. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just want to understand as to why I had this responsibility on me and she know this baby not mine. This is your daughter. That's the only person I can call to get in contact with. This is your child. I understand that, Miss Sharon. I know this don't got nothing to do with you, but at the end of the day, this baby has nothing to do with it either. This is not my child. I'm watching over, I'm taking care of this baby, and it's not my child. I don't care about the money. The money that I spent, I don't even want that back in reimbursement. I don't care about it. I just want my child. This is your daughter. This is your daughter.
All right, guys. This is where the conversation goes beyond simple facts and turns into a powerful emotional debate. One man struggles with betrayal after discovering the child he cared for isn't biologically his, while another perspective questions whether years of love and parenting should outweigh DNA alone. The arguments become deeper, the opinions become stronger, and every viewpoint forces you to think about loyalty, responsibility, and what truly makes someone a parent. This part builds the tension perfectly before the final explosive confrontation.
Supposedly, the parent of this child.
It's honestly incredible that this man did not raise his voice as much as most people would have, because if you really understand the circumstances that he's going through, it's absolutely heartbreaking.
How can a man walk away from a child that he has been raising for 3, 5, 10, 15 years simply because the DNA test shows that he's not the biological father? Hear me out here. I'm not being insensitive. I know that his world has just been turned upside down. I know he feels betrayed. He's devastated. I empathize. I sympathize with his predicament. However, how is one able to walk away from a child that one has bonded with, loved, nurtured, poured blood and sweat into, simply because the DNA test shows that you're not the biological father? I understand getting rid of the wife or the girlfriend. The word I actually want to use starts with a W and rhymes with sure. Get rid of the W. But the children or the child, the innocent child, it is flummoxing to me. Now, I'm not a man, and I do not know how this impacts men. I also know that there's deep shame. But were I in that predicament, of course I would be devastated. I'd be hurt and betrayed. But then I'd let the children know, or the child know. You may not be my biological child, but you're still my child. I love you. You're my child in my heart. I've bonded with you. I've raised you. So nothing changes. Now, I know a lot of men worry about, oh, then I have to continue paying I have to pay child support now that we're not together. So what? I'd pay the child support. Because you know what? Even though everything has changed, nothing should have changed, because it's still the child that I raised, bonded with, and loved. And in an attempt not to pay child support, one ends up cutting off one's nose to spite one's face, because you got to look at the big picture, the relationship with that child, the continued relationship, and the ability to go ahead and raise and nurture that child, because you already have that bonded relationship. But once again, because I'm not a man, I do not understand how anybody can walk away from a child. Story time. My husband had a boss about 20 years ago. This gentleman's son had some medical issues. And to make a long story short, he found out that his 19-year-old son was not his biological child. Needless to say, he was devastated. But you know what? He had raised this child for 19 years, was paying for college. This was his son, and he was not going to let him go. And my heart broke for him, but I was so proud of this man because he did not walk away from his child. And I think at times some men might think walking away from the child is a way to punish the woman for her betrayal. But at the end of the day, the person you're hurting is the child. And I can't help but wonder, won't you be traumatized as a person walking away from someone that you've bonded with, that you've loved? For the man, isn't that traumatic? I mean, I really do not understand. I just cannot relate. And once again, I'm not a man. I'm sensitive to the hurt, to the pain, to the betrayal. But is it right to walk away from a child you've bonded with simply because the DNA test shows that you're not the biological father? Food for thought. Talk to you later.
So unfortunately, it doesn't matter if you bonded with them. At the end of the day, they did lie to you, and that is not your child, even if you find out 5, 10, 15 years later. And I do understand that this is from a woman's perspective, so she would never really have to go through this, but from the shoes of a man, all trust is shattered in this situation.
There should be mandatory DNA testing at birth.
No.
I don't know why you, okay.
Because it's calling my wife a whore to do that. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Why? Okay, so
because
women...
the assumption of first of all, mandatory, good grief, but the premise of it is that my wife is sleeping around.
Okay, so
I'm quite confident my wife is not sleeping around.
The woman feels icky for a little bit, but then
the man feels icky. I would feel quite icky.
The woman feels icky for a little bit. Fine, maybe the man feels icky.
Certainly he would. You're calling his wife a whore.
It prevents men from being put on child support and raising kids that aren't theirs.
You're saying they're
And if people want to opt out of it, fine, you can opt out.
So it's not mandatory.
But
it's voluntary. But there is voluntary.
I think it would be better if it was mandatory. I think that's a better.
So then the men can opt out.
So unfortunately, the mindset that this man has is also the mindset that most men have when they have children. And that's what also leads them to assume things without a test. But guys, you will not want to miss this last clip.
Why you been lying to me?
What have they lying about?
I got a DNA test done.
A DNA saying what?
Saying that he's not my son.
Let me see this DNA test.
You don't need to see it. I saw it.
How DNA test gonna say?
How you gonna be lying to me for 11 years? Why would you do that to me?
Where's the lie?
The lie is you. You are the lie. You have been lying to me for 11 years, having me believe that my son that I've been raising for 11 years is not really my son. Like, how could you do that to me? Like, what can you say for yourself right now?
What made you get a DNA test?
Because I went through your phone.
And why?
Talking about me, laughing and bragging, telling your friends that I have no idea that he's really not my son. So I went and got a DNA test done. Like, you think I'm stupid or something? Like, how could you do this to me?
You know what?
What?
You had no business going through my phone and getting
You
a
care
DNA
more
test
about
on
me
my
going
son.
through your phone than you lying to me about my son not being mine? Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me right now? You care more about being humiliated and me finding out that our son is not really my son and that he has a different father. I sure have, because I thought he was my son. Because you've been lying to me this whole time.
What are you talking about? Does it matter?
It does matter. Are you crazy? What do you mean? That absolutely matters. Like, you don't see anything wrong with what you did? You don't see anything wrong with what you did? You've been lying to me. You've been sitting there lying to me for 11. Of course I love him, but but you guys can't stay. You can't stay here anymore.
Where we gonna go?
I don't know. It's not my problem. 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 You can't stay here. You can't stay here. You can't stay here. I don't know. It's not my problem. I did my job. I did my job. I did my job as a dad. I did my job as a dad. You can't stay here anymore. Y'all gotta go. Y'all can't stay anymore. No, I'm hurt. I'm hurt. I can't deal with it. I can't deal with it. Y'all can't stay here anymore. Y'all gotta go. Y'all gotta get y'all out. Y'all gotta go. I can't deal with it. I'm putting y'all out. Yes.
Who's gonna put
I'm gonna put you out. I'm gonna put you out. I will pack your bags myself and put you out of here. I will pack your bags. Y'all can't stay here. You gotta go.
It's very strange how in almost all the videos I've seen in this situation, the woman is almost always screaming back and yelling instead of—
Buckle up, guys, because we've reached the most explosive moment of the entire video. After years of believing he was raising his own son, one father's world collapses in seconds as a DNA test exposes a heartbreaking truth. The confrontation quickly turns emotional, with accusations, disbelief, and years of trust falling apart right before your eyes. It's a powerful reminder that hidden secrets rarely stay buried forever. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. We'll see you in the next video.